I would say the one thing to consider is to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the person evaluating the application, specifically in terms of the source of funds, where they are looking exactly where that money came from. And when I say exactly, I mean exactly. I mean, like, yes, I've been investing over the last 25 years. It's very easy to say that the money came from the gains that I've had over the 25 years, but that just is not necessarily good enough. We had to track it back to one specific, say, an extract from the company that I'm running right now, and kind of trail it through the whole banking system until it got in the hands of EB-5 in the One Tampa project. So just to circle back and answer your question, I think the important thing is don't take the source of funds lightly, and make sure that you can track the investment properly. I think, and I'm in the middle of it, but I think that at the end of the day, that's what's going to get an application to run through smoothly.
Yeah, so I did not know it was going to be this labor intensive. In fact, when I spoke to Anahita and she kind of gave me a sense of how much effort it would require, she said, a lot of applications are 3,000 to 5,000 pages. I did not believe her, honestly, because that just seems like a lot. And I have been through the H-1B process several times. I've come to the US as a tourist in the past as well. And I thought, okay, how much more paperwork can they really ask for? But given that, if you think about this from a USCIS perspective, they are going to permanently admit an individual and his family members into the US. And the route that we are taking is by investing in an entrepreneurial enterprise in the US. So it's extremely important for the government to get comfort with the fact that, okay, the individual that we are admitting is someone who has, kind of taken the ethical route of earning whatever funds they have been able to source or taken a loan from their friends. So it was definitely, like a bit of a intense process. I think the fact that I had time at hand to focus on this completely was really important here. People who are considering this process while they also have full-time jobs to take care of, I would say you should at least allocate like 2 to 3 months to make sure that all your paperwork is in order. And look, it could be very situation dependent. If all your income has been sourced within the US, if you have $800,000 ready in your account, it could just be very straightforward. But if you have sourced the money from friends and family, then there'll be things like promissory notes, their sources of income, their bank statements to show how clean the funds are. All that can take time.
They sent me like all the document checklist, like what to collect, and then what all I need to upload, and then they went through like different like the source of funds plans, and then they were like they simplified my overall portfolio. Like I was initially planning to choose like the most optimal set of funds so that I don't need to liquidate most of my stocks. But then that led to like too many source of funds, right? Like 4 or 5 different sources, because I was trying to optimize the stock sales. But that would like create like a risk, right? Because you have too many source of funds to evaluate. So they came up with like a simplified process, like what makes sense to be liquidated, right? So that recommendation process and everything was great. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't raise any like red flags. And then from the time wise, like once I hired them, right, it probably took me like around 4 to 5 weeks just to get the source of funds finalized, like all the documents finalized. Like took me almost a week to like download all the documents. I downloaded all the pay slip and bank statements even before I selected the attorney, because I knew like those are some of the things that are necessary. But then I had to like document so many other things, right? Like all the different bank statements, all of my like rental property details, HELOCs, etc., investment brokerage. So downloaded all of that fund and like the statements, and then I uploaded them. They took almost another week or so, or probably like 2 weeks to review all of that, and then came up with like a simplified next set of questions or like simplification recommendations. And probably took another like 2 to 3 different weeks to fully finalized on the source of funds, like which account, how much money I should liquidate, which account it should be deposited to, so that like there's no like too many transactions going in and out. It keeps everything simpler.
Yeah, so Anaita is very good in that, and I will really recommend her. Even at 10 o'clock in the night, if I send a SMS that, okay, what is expected out of this requirement, she will respond back at 10 o'clock or in the early morning hours. Like, she is very responsive and she replies very quickly about all the queries. She always try to make sure that we understand the process and we are well prepared what is expected in the future and what is going to come, and what all documentations are must and why it is required. So for example, I sold one of my property, and in the last 5 years, and there was a few documents missing for that. So for that I had to go to the bank and get the documents, which I never thought, because I had the statement that I bought the property at this price and sold it at this price. I was thinking that that much information is good enough, but she told that no, we need to show that the payment was done from your paycheck and like how it was transferred, all those details. So yeah, she is very thorough with her job, and lot of documentations are required for source of fund. So I will advise that hire some attorney who has very good experience in EB-5 filing.
I think the first key thing would be, is there any international source of funds involved, so like gifts from friends or family, or anything coming from outside of the United States? Then you need to have an attorney that understands how that money is coming in and being funded for the EB-5 project. For us, it was fairly straightforward, with all of it being salaried funds from the US. But a lot of times it's very complicated. And so having an attorney that has an understanding of the cross-border taxation and what's allowed to be submitted for EB-5 is really helpful. And I think the second point that was really helpful was for us to understand where our funds were coming from, because there were investments over time that had multiplied. So to be able to trace back where all of that money was coming from was important. So that flow chart, like I mentioned, was a key for us to understand where our money is coming from, so we can explain to the lawyers to put in the cover letter